Hello guys and welcome to Jam with Ram. Monday's video where I answer the questions posted in the previous video of Jam with Ram of the previous week. This week has been moved, very moved, because of the latest video, the F8F one, but well, whatever. Let's get started. Let's answer some questions. Ram, what is your opinion on of killing an enemy who has landed for repair and rearm? Is that a cowardly thing or are they a fair target? Kind of depends. I usually don't go for guys who are landing and repairing. First of all, because it's dumb. Um, well, at least it depends on the situation. If there are more enemies flying nearby, go for them because they are a higher threat. They are flying, they are actually in the air. And if you go for the landing one, it means you want the easy kill. You want to kill the guy who can't maneuver. I mean, it's a legit target. It's fair game, I guess. But it's not the smartest thing to do because there's other guy flying, who is a bigger threat. And it's also not really fair game because you have other options where to go, where you can go for people who can defend themselves. So it's a matter of, I think, it's a perception of honor and a perception of self-esteem in a way, because if you think you are worth enough to kill an enemy who's maneuvering and you don't need to score a kill by going to a guy who is landing, I think it's it doesn't make sense to go for a landing target. Besides, there's anti-aircraft guns and those things are very accurate and probably you will end up damaged too. So yeah, in principle, I don't go for landing targets. Then, of course, the situation demands things as it depends a lot. Let's say you are in a game with I don't know, maybe you are the Germans and you only have BF-109s E3s, and the enemy has two Spitfire Mark 9s, which have absolutely no business to do in a game like that, and they are really hard to catch in the air. I would go for them in landing with no problem. I mean, in fact, I would primary them, and I wouldn't leave them alone until they were dead, because those are the biggest threats, and also shouldn't be there in the first instance. So it also depends. At the end of the game, you might want to end it fast, or at the end of the game, I usually give the chance to the last guy to land and quit the game. But if he stays and if he chooses to keep on going, to land and repair and rearm, I'm going to kill him on the strip, no problem, because I gave him the chance to quit the game. So, in the majority of occasions, I would say that it's not that is not fair or it's not a legit target. It's a matter of just having a little bit of sense of honor and go for the guy who can defend himself instead of the guy who can't defend himself. Also, again, situation demands. If your team is losing the battle and that guy can be easily taken out, go for him. If you are 1 versus 2 and the guy is landing and you have the chance to downscale it to 2v1, go for the landing target. If the situations demand, I mean, it depends. It depends. But as a general thing, I usually don't go for landing targets. That's my take, at least. So, next question. What year do you think the ME262 and other German jets should be? And if you think they should be historical, how do you suggest by engaging balance them? Repair cost, asymmetric trains, etc. Well, they have two options. They can restrict German teams up to, and German tiering up to level 17 or 18 maybe, and leave them at that. So I would put level 17 in the Comet, the ME262, and the Henken 162. Thing is, they should have to change some things because the Comet right now is not an accurate representation of the real one in several ways, because you can throttle up and down like in any other plane when the actual plane couldn't. I think it had two settings: a cruise setting and a full power setting, And if they switched off the engine in flight and restarted it, there was a small chance for the engine to blow up. So what I would do would be to quit totally the ability of the Comet to cool down the engine at 0%. I would only add two options of throttle for the ME263, the Comet, 50% and 100% for cruise and full power. And I would fix the landings, because right now you can land with a with a Comet without totally breaking it, and that's bollocks. And then I will place them in tier 17. The ME262 has no business to do at level 19, level 17. Henkel 162 also is perfect at the level it's at, level 17. I will restrict matchmaking, so no plane that enters service after 1948 fights Korean war jets. So that means that the early MiG-9, the early Meteors, etc., won't ever have to face something like a MiG-15 or a MiG-9 late or a Yak-17, that kind of stuff. And finally, I'm not Gaijin, but I would decide if I want to make paper planes for the Germans and put them at high levels. So making a level 20 plane for the Germans that didn't exist in reality, but it was a paper project and would have been or could have been a contender for enemy planes like the Sabre or the MiG-15, and then put them at their proper level. But right now the things don't work the way they should. The Comet, the way it is actually very effective at level 18. It has a serious drawback with the fuel problem, but given that you can really select your throttle as you can in any other plane, it can defend itself, and its performance is good enough to deal with enemy fighters up to the F-80C or the Panther, or of course the MiG-9s, the Yak-17s. But of course they have the problem of the fuel, but it's not as big of a deal as it should be. So the ME163 is the Comet is actually now pretty decent tier. The ME262 is totally outclassed, it's totally hopeless at level 19. I have tried it several times and really it stands no option against well-flown level 19 other nation planes. So it should be lowered. And then there should be a red line. World War II fighters and late war World War II fighters will only face planes up to 1948. That would give room for the Meteor F3, the Meteor F4, the ME062, the Henkel 162, the Comet, the Shooting Star, the early variant, the P40 in the P80A, the Vampire, etc. Those would be able to fight each other, but whatever enters service after 1948 only sees stuff after 1948. That's how I would do it. Actually, I would have done it in a totally different way. I would have done this game cutting the end at 1947 and adding nothing after that, because the problems and the huge balancing issues that are coming from Korean war jets fighting World War II jets is because of that. It's because of planes that enter service in 1944 having to fight planes that enter service in 1949. It's 5 years of aircraft evolution. Just look at how much aircraft technology advanced in 1 year, from 1943 to 1944. And now outscale it for 5 years. That's how far the ME262 is from the F-80C, for instance, or the Panther. I mean, it's like flying a biplane against a P-51. It's exactly the same. It makes no sense. So I wouldn't have let the levels go up to Korean War. I would have put it in the immediate post-war, and then all this trouble would have never happened. But now they have this problem. So the way I treat with it, yeah, it would be that. It would be just avoiding Korean war jets to go against something that is not a Korean war jet. Next question. Which are good techniques for aiming in historical battles? Or it is just something you just get better at over time? Practice. It's just practice. Practice and a lot of experience with the plane you're flying, because different planes have different weapons with different leads and different cell speeds, and will require different styles of fighting. So that's the problem with me. I mean, one of my problems with flying this game, and as you can see, my aim is probably the worst thing I have in War Thunder. I don't have a good aim, and that's because I fly so many different planes. I mean, in one game I can fly the P40. The next one I will fly the BF-109G. In the next one I would move on to P51, then go back to a Tempest, and then give a Zero a try. I mean, all those planes have very different weapons, and all of them have different ballistics, different self trajectories, etc. And you need to lead differently with them. And you have to really develop a feel for your weapons to intuitively get hits. I don't have that intuitive feel because I don't specialize in one nation. So that's why my aim isn't really good. But the way to develop good techniques for aiming, playing a lot, and developing them by experience. There's no other way. There's no simple way. Of course, that's after you know that you need to lead your target. That the bullet time requires you to aim in front of the enemy plane, so bullets arrive at the same spot as the enemy plane at the same moment. Now, once you have learned that, and you know that you need to lead targets, afterwards is just experience. There's no other way. There's no easy way. There's no tutorial for air gunnery. You have to develop a feel for your weapons. So, yep. Next question. How do I take a BF from your 6 when you are with a Mustang, the American one? And yes, I know the trick is not to get a BF on your 6. Well, I actually have a video about that. If you check out my Fighter Combat School playlist, there's a video there about how to force overshoots and how to take a bandit of your 6. That's one way. There are some other ways. The overshoot, the technique of shaking a guy of your 6 by barrel rolling and force him to pass you, and doing all the tricks by the book to try to put him from your 6 to your 12, is a desperate move when you don't have any other option, when everything you have tried hasn't worked. How to take a BF-109 of your 6? Dive in a Mustang, point the nose down, accelerate to 850 kilometers per hour, level off, and keep on going. No BF-109 can follow that. It's as simple as that. Of course, if you don't have the altitude below you to shake that guy off your 6, by doing that, is that you were caught slow, and then that's your problem. It's not the planes. Remember to set in boom and planes. Remember, as a rule of thumb, to set a soft sailing. I mean, more precisely, a soft ground. Say you are flying at 4 kilometers and you tell yourself, I'm not going to dive under 2 kilometers. No way, unless I totally, absolutely, desperately need to. What you achieve by that is, when you are in the offensive and you are tracking an enemy and trying to kill it, if he dives under 2 kilometers, you pull up and you regain your energy and you stay higher. You will not kill that man, but the next guy who comes higher won't have you as an easier target as you would have been had you dived under 2 kilometers. It's a matter of self-discipline to set yourself into the mindset of, I'm not going to sacrifice everything to kill that guy, because if I do, the next guy who comes around is going to kill me. So fly with discipline, and always have altitude below you in a boom and plane, always, because you are going to need that to start evasives and avoiding actions. And in the case of the BF-109, it's just diving away, accelerating at a speed that they simply can't match, and level up and keep on going using your superior high speed retention. And he will be left behind, and from then you can start a high-speed zoom and equalize energy status, and from then you can move on to turn the tables and be you the one who's in his six. But yeah, if he's that only works if he's not on top of you, just already in shooting range. Because if he's at 400 meters and you start diving in a straight line, he's going to shoot you out of the sky. But if you spot that he's coming and maybe 1.5 kilometers, and that he's going to be a problem, then start the dive and move away, and keep on doing that until he's left behind. The Mustang is a faster plane, accelerates much better in a dive, and on top of that, and probably the most important thing, keeps energy and speed better at high speeds. As long as you go in a straight line, of course. If you start maneuvering, you are going to lose that. So yeah, that's the answer. Also, check the video out how to deal with a guy in your six. Next question. Ram, would you play for real battles with an Oculus Rift? No. No, because I'm not getting Oculus Rift to begin with. There are several reasons for that. First of all, if you have seen more of my videos and Q&As and stuff, you'll know that I was born with a defective eye. My right eye lacks eyesight. Simply is not perfect. When you are maybe 10, 11 years old and your eyes are working perfectly, your brain learns to mix the images from the left eye and the right eye into the same image, which is 3D. Given that I have a differential eyesight in both eyes, I have a perfect vision out of my left eye and a really crappy one on my right eye. My brain, instead of doing that, instead of learning how to mix images, what did was to totally close the input from the right eye, because the image was so defective and so bad that it was bad for me to keep on seeing things through that eye. I was diagnosed with a bad eye more or less when I was 11 years old, and I was given glasses. But glasses don't help with that, and the brain doesn't develop a stereoscopical vision, the skill of mixing images into a 3D one with correction. It's a natural procedure, and if one eye sees much better than the other one, it's not going to happen. It didn't happen in my case. Fast forward to when I was maybe 31 years old, 32, 3 years ago. I went through surgery with laser in my right eye. Eyesight went a lot upwards, a lot, really. But the problem is that that eye had been closed. The input from that eye was being cut off by my brain since I was a kid. Now I technically have no graduation in my right eye. I should see perfectly through it, but I can't. I don't. I still see blurry. Much better than before the surgery. I can actually read from distances I couldn't before with that eye. But the problem is that the brain is used to cut up off that image. And also, I'm too old to develop a proper stereoscopical vision. I did and went through some exercises to develop it, to at least develop a minimal sense of mixing images. And that worked up, and actually I developed a small, very tiny degree of stereoscopical vision, but that's maybe 5% of what a normal guy has. Oculus Rift is a device that bases its action in the ability of the human brain to mix two different images into one, and so giving you a 3D perspective and impression that you wouldn't get out of a flat monitor. The problem with this is that you need stereoscopical vision. If you have a lazy eye, if your brain has somehow focused your view through one eye and is heavily biased through that eye, Oculus Rift is not going to work for you, and certainly it's not going to work for me. Well, it's going to work for me to a slight degree, But the problem is that I will get headaches if I try to do that. And no, it's not an option. I mean, it doesn't work. I know it's a different thing than with 3D movies, for instance, with the glasses, the 3D glasses. It's a totally different concept and it's working out of a different principle. But in the end, it's the same. If you don't have a stereoscopical vision or proper stereoscopical vision, you can't see 3D movies and you won't use Oculus Rift. I don't have a stereoscopical vision. I don't have a well. I have a very slight sense of it, but it's not enough to have anything other than headaches if I try something like Oculus Rift. Why do I know? Because I have tried 3D view glasses before. And by glasses I mean VR glasses with different images in separate eyes. And I know they don't work for me. They don't. I get a slight impression of depth, but in the end what I get is a huge headache. So Oculus Rift is not going to work for me and I'm not going to get it. So yeah, that's the thing. Also, and this is not going to be something I want to say for me because I'm not going to get that. And I told you I'm not going to get the Oculus Rift. But really, guys, be careful. Be careful with that kind of stuff. Because if you use that thing, Oculus Rift or whatever that puts a screen maybe 3 centimeters of your eye, and you play maybe 1 hour a day with that, maybe nothing happens. But if you start doing gaming sessions of 3-4 hours with those things put on, in the long term there's going to be some kind of consequence for your eyes, because the eyes are not tuned and are not ready to adjust for images that are put maybe 1 inch away from your eye. So be careful with that, and if you get a Oculus Rift, use it, enjoy it, but don't use it in long gaming sessions, because on the long run you're going to pay for that. Believe me, you will. So yeah, that's it. Next question. This one is one I know I'm going to receive a lot in the future. Ram, as you said, Eve is not enough realistic for you. What do you think about Chris Roberts' Star Citizen, which is in development at the time? I like the concept, and I like how ambitious it is, and I like how in depth it's going to be. But again, not realistic flight dynamics in the space, so I'm not interested. In fact, it's I know I'm going to be burnt in the stake by doing this, but I didn't enjoy Chris Roberts' previous games. And I didn't because back then, when he was putting out his Wing Commander series, there were. It was the same time as when David Braben was releasing Elite 3 and Elite 2, Frontier and Frontier First Encounters. And Frontier First Encounters had Newtonian physics and had the same universe as the original Elite, which was something I loved back in the 80s. And I simply fell in love with Frontier and Frontier First Encounters idea. A huge universe with endless possibilities, sandbox game where you could do whatever you wanted, go the way you wanted, and a scripted campaign in Frontier First Encounters, but you didn't really need to follow it. I loved that. I loved the sandbox style with Newtonian physics and realistic space combat. There's an Elite 4 in the works, but sadly, and that Elite 4 does not have Newtonian physics either. And that's a huge letdown, because the selling point for Frontier and Frontier First Encounters, games that I still fly now and then in with DOSBox and some of these emulators for all computers, the selling point of that game was the realism it had, and it's not going to be in Elite 4, and it's not going to be in Chris Roberts' Star Citizen. And back in the day, I tried Wing Commander, but I couldn't get hooked up. I didn't get hooked because I didn't enjoy the way space combat worked. It was not realistic. I know maybe it's a big of a problem for me to be this way, but I do love things that work the way they should in real life. I want to replicate what happens in real life. Of course, you have to have some kind of stuff that is hypothetical. I mean, um, hyperdrive engines to move from star to star, that kind of stuff. There's no real space travel if you don't have the ability to go faster than light. So some kind of hyperspace mechanics have to be in place, and of course those are not going to be realistic, because if hyperspace works and exists, we don't know about it. But other than that, when you are in real space, physics should work as they should work and as they do in real life. And a game that doesn't have that, and Star Citizen won't, is something that doesn't interest me. It's as simple as that. It's not that the game is bad or worse, or no, it's that I simply won't enjoy it. And if I'm not going to enjoy it, why bother? Why? So I'm not going to bother with it. that's that's the point. But I like the idea, I like the concept, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. And maybe if there are some free versions and try versions, I will try it, because why not? But I doubt. I don't really think it's going to be something for me. I don't. Eve wasn't, and while Star Citizen is a totally different concept and a totally different approach, which I like, I don't think it's going to be something for me. We'll see. You never know, but I don't think so. So next question. Ram, have you played Crusader Kings 2? It's a great medieval game from EU creators and a wide spectrum of possibilities to expand your realm without getting into war. Yes, well, yeah. I have played Crusader Kings 2, Europa Universalis 1, 2, 3, and 4, Victoria 1 and 2, Crown of the North, Hearts of Iron 1 and 2. The only ones I don't like and I didn't enjoy were Hearts of Iron. I don't think the engine and the approach to the game of Europa Universalis is applicable to a World War II game. But other than that, I have played them all, and I love Crusader Kings too. It's a fantastic game, and is so much about scheming and intrigue and diplomacy, and less about war, that I really like it a lot. Is developing a dynasty. In fact, is less about a nation or a country, and but more about characters, and I love that. I have played it a lot, and yeah, I have tried it. I chose to make an European Universalis for Let's Play instead. Well, mostly because European Universalis is new, and people might be interested in looking for that. And also because Europa Universalis 4 is more of a national game, and people get related to that easier than related to characters or dynasties. But yeah, I have played Crusader Kings 2 and I love it. I love it so bits. Next question. How long have you played War Thunder? How did you learn combat tactics? Someone teach you? Well, I have played War Thunder since January, so that's 8 months. How did I learn combat tactics? Well, by flying online serious simulators like SSI back in the day. And yeah, of course, I got help. I got people who got me under their wings and got me into training flights and taught me the basis of air combat. Later on, I moved on myself and I started learning from myself, from experience, from trying things and seeing what worked and what not, from reading a lot about air combat, from my physical background, because well, I studied 3 years of physics at the college. Um, it's a mix of a lot of things. The thing is understanding the basics. If you understand why physics work the way they work, you will understand why planes fly the way they fly. And if you understand why things work the way they do, it's easy to move on and apply that to air combat. So it's a mix of people teaching me, of course, and a mix of me being hungry about learning more about air combat. It's a mix of both. Next question. Hey Ram, if you are willing to spend some time, then you should do a War Thunder funny videos of the week. I would suggest a top 5 of 10 of subscriber videos. Extremely good idea, but the problem is that I can't do it at the moment. The replay of War Thunder is not good enough to do this kind of stuff. It's sad, but it's as simple as that. Once a full replay mode where you have the same UI as you get into the battle is in place, this is an idea I really have ready when that happens. It's something I thought about some time ago. Subscriber videos, subscriber replays with the best with people who fly really well, or with people who have some really fun things to share. So for the future, for when Gaijin decides finally to add a proper replay tool, um, it will be an option, yeah, and definitely I'm going to do it. And next and final question. Quick easy question. Do you think Gaijin should remove AI from historical battles? I find them utterly pointless. The AI are only useful in game if you kill all the enemy team players and there's an AI alive, which allows you to farm ground kills. I totally would quit the AIs. Yes, several reasons for that. First of all, they distract the attention of players who don't know better. I'm really tired of seeing guys climbing to an altitude and then drop down on the first AI they see because it's an easy kill. Really, makes no sense and puts teams with stupid guys at a disadvantage. I mean, because if you are going to drop all your altitude, at least do so against an enemy player, not an AI, but whatever. Also, they are irritating, really. They are. Just look at the video I posted with Side Strafe like last week. In that one, we had to go all the way to the enemy base because the AI wouldn't take off. And other times, in the first video of this Young with Round, you have seen a case of that. Bismarck was the last guy alive, and he had to fly all around the place to find the last AI, which was just derping around, and you never know where he is. So yeah, I don't think it makes sense. First of all, because it gives people easy kills, and they help stat padding. And I've seen people doing that. At game start, in games with 4 or 5 AIs, they would go simply and directly for the AIs. They would fast kill them. That's 4 or 5 kills, and then the first enemy player that came around kill him. Results: a 5 to 1 kill death ratio, and doing absolutely nothing for the team. People do that. They start the game, they go for the AIs, they kill 3 or 4 of them, then they get killed because they are low and slow and hunting AIs, and they go around bragging about how cool a pilot they are, how many kills they have. Well, yeah, whatever. So yeah, AIs are something that I think it's okay to have in scenarios like Bulls when you have those many B-17s and they are an objective that you should kill to win as Germans. But as players, to fill the matchmaker gaps, no, I think they should be retired. At least down to 1 per team, because I really would miss flying versus Soji or Tetsuo. They are fun in a way. They are fun, but nah, they don't make sense in a serious game. So yeah, I would quit those bots. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. That's it for this week of Young with Ram, and well, as always, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed, and remember to put down the questions in the comment section below, and to upvote those questions you want to see answered first. As always, thank you very much for watching, and again, stay for the outro. See you later.